This is Western Kansas Prepper here with another review of the show, Doomsday Preppers. This covers episodes 8 and 9. And, I will talk a little bit about all 6 preppers who appear in these 2 episodes. I'm going to combine them to save a little space and time. And I'll rank them as always between these 2 episodes, who I thought was the most and least prepared. And then I'll put them on the big board. Starting off with not that guy, sorry, wrong guy. Wrong one. Missing him. There we go. This lady, who I'm calling the Food Hoarding Lady, but I gotta give credit where credit's due. Betty Spaghetti is a better name. That's the name Gun Guru 2012 came up with her. I watched his video before I made my own. Typically I try to make mine before I watch other reviews, but this week I waited so long that I happened to watch somebody else's review first. That's a better name for her, I think, Betty Spaghetti. So I'm going to not plagiarize, but I'm giving credit where credit's due. Now, this lady, apparently all she does is just store food. She's worried about a nuclear strike, and at the end of the episode they go, so you think maybe you ought to invest in a Geiger counter or something since you're so worried about radiation? Just, oh, huh. I never thought of that. So she's basically done nothing except cram prepackaged food into every crevice of her house. And it doesn't really even make sense the way she did it, because if you read anything about food storage, then you should know that you need to store it in the coolest, driest place you got. Storing it underneath your bed, while it may be good feng shui, and it saves space, does not extend the shelf life of your food. In fact, that makes it very awkward, especially since she's hiding everything from her husband, very awkward to rotate the food properly in order to get it, to get maximum use out of it if she plans on replenishing and restoring as she goes, which they didn't discuss any system she had for dealing with her expired foods. So, all in all, a pretty terrible plan. She's going to wait till people show up and apparently are going to be there to kill her. She's got no plan to defend her food or to survive with anything but food. She doesn't have any way to filter water, no way to do anything, really. So, I think it's a terrible plan. I think it's one of the worst on the whole show. All she does is prep food, and she does it pretty crappily. So, I think she's not very good. Next one I have on my list is who I'm calling the leftover Cold War professor. It's this guy here. And he has a bunch of school buses that apparently he bought 30 to 40 years ago and buried them all underground. They've fared okay. He's got some of them dedicated to decontamination. He's also worried about radiation, like Betty Spaghetti. But he also has some of them dedicated toward food, other things. No weapons. I saw no weapons whatsoever. His plan, perhaps crazier than Betty Spaghetti's, is that people will show up with their children to his facility, and then he will go ahead and ask them to surrender their children to him at the door, and then they'll just happily do that. So apparently he doesn't understand anything about human nature or parents and their children. Parents' instincts actually going to increase in times of stress, and they're not going to turn their children over to some kooky old guy who may not survive that long to live in some underground school buses without them there. It may be a decent shelter, but it's a terrible plan, and I'm not sure he's thought through any of the ramifications, so not very good. So I don't know. I mean, that shelter is possibly useful if somebody had a good plan for it. His plan is not good for it. So I appreciate that he had some communications equipment. Good for him. Good to have that communications equipment. That's about all he had. So, all right. Move on to Bird Flu Shrink, who is this guy who lives with his Asian, or I guess she's Cambodian, wife and their daughter. And they think he's crazy or whatever, but they go along with him apparently because they wanted to be on TV. You know, he's got some preps. He's got, looks like decent food stores. He's investing in ballistic glass, which looked like it was pretty solid. I don't know. He said it would stop a 9mm. If you're investing in ballistic glass to stop bullet rounds or ammunition rounds, I think I want to stop rifle rounds. So I might have invested in something a little more secure, or a little more resistant than just 9mm. But anyway, that's what he said it was capable of stopping. I guess it's better than nothing. It's better than the windows I got on my house, so who am I to complain? Anyway, he also had a bug-out location, although as the experts opined, it was not very good. And I have to agree. Not only was it cool and dank, they had nothing stored there. There's no way to sustain themselves over any period of time. Basically just a place to hide and then die if there's nobody, if nothing gets better. And I've heard remarked by other reviewers, including Gun Guru, which is correct, that they have one way in and out of that place, apparently, according to the show, and that's not a very good plan, because if you only got one way in and one way out, you can be trapped. And, you know, he referred at the end of the episode, actually, this shot here, to having some kind of carjacking incident, and he maybe defended himself, so he may have some type of firearm, but they didn't talk about it in the show hardly, so I'm not giving him much credit on that, other than to think maybe he has a pistol of some kind that he defends himself with. So that's better than nothing. Then I've got the old comedian who was here on stage with his gun, apparently. Anyway, he did a pretty decent little Woody Allen impression, I thought. But how is he prepped? Well, he admits, he says, I'm a new prepper, I'm just starting. He had a couple of guns, not many. Don't know how much ammo he has. His wife is sort of tolerating it. He's got in better shape, which is good for him. He's walking around. He's getting other people involved in his community. He's turning them to listen to him, so that's good. He's got knives planted all around the house, which I guess is better than not having a knife. I have some knives planted around my house. I mean, they're not taped under counters or nothing, but they're in, you know, holsters and whatever at certain locations. I mean, if I needed to get one out real quick or something, I guess. I'd rather have one of the weapons than one of the firearms that I have, you know, around. But anyway, that's what he's got. So I like his attitude. Although he is 65, I thought he's got a good attitude toward prepping, and maybe he'll learn more. He's a little bit like Party Kachik, except he started out at 65. You know, and he's got his community involved, so, and a little bit better plan. He's got a bug-in plan, but it's not terrible. So anyway.